No part twos here, so don't forget to charge your phone.
My wife's life coach convinced her I was cheating, so she could have intimate exchange with other men. So I exposed their mother, daughter, con artist ring. Now her entire bloodline is in federal prison. I stared at Kenneth, trying to process what he just said. My hands shook as I reached for the duffel bag, pulling out more documents. Bank statements with massive transfers to offshore accounts. Photos of Mystic Echo from 20 years ago, looking exactly the same except for the dated hairstyle. Kenneth grabbed the bottle and refilled his glass. That woman, Mystic Echo, she's not who you think she is. He took another long drink. She's Rebecca's real mother. The room spun. I gripped the edge of the coffee table. What? 20 years ago, I had an affair, young stupid. Thought I was invincible. Kenneth's voice cracked. She called herself Crystal Harmony back then. Name scam, different name, got pregnant, threatened to expose everything unless I paid up. So I did set her up with a new identity, monthly payments, the works. I grabbed the whiskey bottle myself, not bothering with a glass, and Rebecca, I convinced my wife to raise her, told her the baby was from a distant cousin who died in childbirth. She never questioned it. Kenneth's shoulders sagged. But that witch has been bleeding me dry ever since. Every time I tried to cut her off, she threatened to tell Rebecca the truth. Front door burst open. My mother rushed in, her face flushed with excitement. I got it. I got everything. She waved a small recording device. That Echo woman has been running this con for decades. My friend Margaret remember her. Her marriage fell apart 30 years ago because of the same woman. Kenneth's face went pale. Margaret Thompson. You know her. My mother's eyes narrowed. She was a business associate. Kenneth shifted uncomfortably. Her husband accused her of cheating after seeing some psychic. Lost everything in the divorce. My mother pulled out a manila folder. I've been tracking this woman for weeks. Different names, same pattern. She targets wealthy families, finds the weak spots, plants seeds of doubt. Then she moves in for the call. I flipped through the papers. Crystal Harmony, Mystic Moonbeam, Spiritual Sage, Sandra. Always the same face, always the same eyes, always leaving destroyed families in her wake. We need to stop her, I said, standing up before she destroys anyone else. Kenneth laughed bitterly. You think I haven't tried? She's got protection judges, cops, officials, all her former clients who don't want their secrets exposed. My phone buzzed. Rebecca's number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. You need to come home, right now. Her voice was ice cold, or you'll never see the children again. The line went dead. I looked at my mother in. Kenneth got the kids. We raced to the house in 3 separate cars. I got there first, finding Rebecca on the front porch with Sarah and Tommy. They ran to me, but Rebecca grabbed their arms. Don't touch them, she hissed. I know what you did, Rebecca. Please, let's talk about this rationally. Rationally? She laughed high and sharp. Mystic Echo showed me everything. The spiritual residue, the energy patterns. You've been touching our daughter inappropriately during bath time. The words hit me like a physical blow. Sarah started crying. Tommy clung to his sister. That's insane, I said, trying to keep my voice calm. You know I would never. The authorities are already on their way. Rebecca's smile was triumphant. Mystic Echo filed a report herself. She saw it all in her visions. Sure enough, 2 police. Cars pulled up, followed by a van marked Child Protective Services. A woman in a severe suit stepped out, clipboard in hand. Mr. Johnson, I'm Sandra Williams from CPS. We've received a serious allegation. I'm going to need you to step away from the children. This is ridiculous, my mother said, arriving just in time. My son would never harm those babies. CPS worker's expression didn't change. Ma'am, I need you to step back. We have procedures to follow. Kenneth's Mercedes screeched to a halt. He jumped out, phone pressed to his ear. Williams, isn't it? You play golf with my partner, Richard Steinberg? The CPS worker's demeanor shifted slightly. Mr. Hamilton, I didn't realize you were involved. These are my grandchildren, Kenneth said smoothly. I'm sure we can handle this discreetly. I watched in horror as they loaded Sarah and Tommy into the van. My daughter pressed her small hand against the window, tears streaming down her face. Tommy had gone completely silent, thumb in his mouth. Daddy will fix this, I called out. I promise. Becca's laughter followed me as I was escorted to the police station. The interrogation lasted hours. They had no evidence, of course, just mystic echoes, psychic impressions, and Rebecca's accusations. That was enough to keep the kids in foster care while they investigated. My mother worked tirelessly over the next few days. She called in every favor, reached out to every contact. Meanwhile, I was served with a restraining order. No contact with my children, no visits, nothing. There's something else, my mother said on the 4th day. She looked exhausted. But Hermond, those supplements Rebecca's been taking from Echo, I had a friend analyze them. They're not vitamins. She handed me a lab report. The technical terms meant nothing to me, but my mother translated. Hallucinogens, designed to make people highly suggestible and paranoid. She's been drugging your wife for months. We need to tell the police, I said. With what proof? The supplements are already gone. Rebecca threw them out when CPS got involved. My mother's jaw tightened. But I have a plan. The next morning, Kenneth called. His voice was strained. Rebecca's losing it. She keeps asking for more supplements, but Echo won't return her calls. She was going to hurt herself if she doesn't get them. Let me guess, I said. You want me to help? I want my daughter back, Kenneth said quietly. The real Rebecca, not this monster Echo created. My mother had been volunteering at the psychiatric hospital for years. When Kenneth had Rebecca committed for her own safety, my mother was already there, ready with her phone. I waited outside, pacing the parking lot. Hours passed. Finally, my mother emerged king, triumphant. She admitted everything, she said, playing the recording. Rebecca's voice slurred from sedatives, but clear enough. It was all lies, Echo said. If I accused him, I'd get everything. The house, the kids, the money, she said. Judges always believe mothers. But our victory was short-lived. Next day, I got a call from the supervised visitation center. Rebecca wanted to meet, to apologize, to make things right. I should have known better. The meeting room was small, with cameras in every corner. Rebecca looked terrible. Her usually perfect hair hung limp, her designer clothes replaced with hospital scrubs. She pushed a cup of coffee across the table, peace offering. She said, I know you like it, Black. Something in her eyes made me hesitate. The way she watched me, too eager, too intense. When she glanced at the coffee again, I knew. Actually, I've been cutting back on caffeine, I said, but you look like you could use it. No, I made it specially for you, please. I picked up the cup, tending to consider it. Then, in one smooth motion, I switched it with hers while pointing at the camera. Is that thing on? She grabbed my cup instinctively and took a large gulp before realizing what had happened. Her eyes went wide. What did you do? She gasped. Nothing. You made the coffee, remember? Within minutes, she was convulsing. The guards rushed in, calling. For paramedics, sat there shaking as they wheeled her out the hospital, found enough sedatives in her system to knock out a horse, combined with whatever she put in that coffee she'd nearly called herself. That's when everything started unraveling. Brett, Rebecca's affair partner, panicked when he heard about her hospitalization. He showed up at my apartment, wild-eyed and desperate. I have to drop everything, he said. Call off your mother. Stop the investigation or I'll release the videos. What videos? He pulled out his phone, showing me thumbnail images I didn't want to see. Rebecca was very enthusiastic during our spiritual sessions. I'm sure the court would love to see what kind of mother she really is. My mother appeared in my doorway. She'd been hiding in the bedroom, recording everything. Brett? Isn't it you? Look just like your mother? He froze. Mystic Echo. Same eyes, same chin, though you've had work done on the nose. My mother smiled coldly. How long have you two been running this scam? 20 years. Brett lunged for her phone, but I caught his arm. We struggled briefly before he broke free and ran. My mother already had her finger on the speed dial. He's heading for the elementary school, she said to the police. Black Honda license plate. I didn't hear the rest. I was already in my car, racing toward my children's school. I found my mother's car already there, parked across the entrance. She stood with the principal, both women forming a human barrier. Brett's Honda screeched around the corner just as police sirens wailed in the distance. He saw the blockade and tried to reverse, but more parents had boxed him in. He abandoned the car and ran, but didn't get far. A tackle from the school security. Guards sent him sprawling. They found substances in his car, Rebecca's jewelry, detailed plans for taking the children across state lines, everything we needed to prove conspiracy. But Mystic Echo was still out there, and Kenneth had made a crucial mistake. My mother discovered it first. She'd been feeding him false information about the custody hearing, testing her suspicions. He didn't show up to court. The judge issued a bench warrant. He's been playing both sides, my mother explained. Funding Rebecca's case while pretending to help you. He wanted to control the outcome either way. Rebecca found out during a supervised call from the hospital. The sound of her breakdown echoed through the facility. Her father, her protector, her bank account had abandoned her when she needed him most, posted everything on social media. That night, high on whatever cocktail the hospital had missed, she went live on 3 platforms simultaneously. The whole ugly truth, her affair, the false accusations, Echo's real identity as her biological mother, the drugging, the conspiracy, everything. My name is Rebecca Hamilton, and I'm a fraud, she slurred into the camera. I tried to destroy my husband because the psychic told me to. She's my real mom, and we've been conning my dad for years. The video went viral within hours. Mystic Echo. tried to flee town, but Kenneth was racing to the airport too, trying to catch a flight to his offshore havens. They collided in the country club parking lot, her Lexus T-boning his Mercedes at the entrance. Both survived, unfortunately for them. The police found them arguing over whose fault it was, while bleeding from various cuts. Kenneth's briefcase had spilled open, revealing cash and fake passports echoes. Trunk contained enough illegal substances to supply a small pharmacy. The arrests made the local news activation for Kenneth. Substance distribution and fraud for Echo. Brett was already in custody for attempted kidnapping. The CPS investigator who'd taken my children came to see me personally. His own daughter had come forward with allegations against Kenneth from the country club's summer program. He looked broken. "I'm sorry," he said simply. "I let my friendship cloud my judgment. Your children have been asking for you every day." Sarah and Tommy ran into my arms at the foster facility. They were thin, scared, but whole. Sarah whispered in my ear, "Mommy made me practice saying bad things about you, but I told the truth, lady, that it was all pretend." The custody hearing was swift. The judge reviewed everything, shaking her head in disgust. Rebecca, out on bail and finally sober, sat silently as her world crumbled. Full custody to me, supervised visits for her after completing a real rehabilitation program. The country club community surprised me. The same people who'd shunned me organized a fund for the children's therapy. Margaret Thompson, my mother's friend, contributed the most. "I know what it's like," she said, "simply to have your life destroyed by that woman. At least your children get their father back." My mother moved in the next week. She took the guest room, turning it into command central for raising 2 traumatized children. Schedules, therapy appointments, normal routines. Slowly, painfully, we rebuilt. Rebecca writes, sometimes real letters, not texts. She's genuinely remorseful now that the substances are out of her system. She remembers bits and pieces of the past year like a nightmare, but she also remembers choosing to take that first supplement, choosing to believe the lies about me, choosing to destroy our family for money and attention. Kenneth serves his time in minimum security, planning his comeback. Echo got 10 years. Brett turned state's evidence and got 5. The country club has new management and stricter background checks. But sitting here now, watching my mother teach Sarah to make cookies while Tommy builds block towers, I realize we won. Not the way I imagined, not without scars. But we survived. My children are home, they're safe, they're healing, and that's enough. The peace lasted exactly 3 weeks. I was making breakfast when my phone rang. Unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered, "You think you've won?" The voice was raspy, unfamiliar. Echo was just the beginning. She has sisters. They're coming for what's theirs. The line went dead. I stood there holding the spatula, pancake batter dripping onto the floor. My mother walked in, took one look at my face, and grabbed the phone from my hand. "Another threat?" she asked, already pulling out her notebook. She'd been documenting everything since the trial. "Someone claiming Echo has sisters," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Sarah and Tommy were in the living room watching cartoons. I let them see me. Scared. My mother's face went pale. "Oh, no, 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 no." She rushed to her room and came back with a thick folder. I was hoping I was wrong, but look at this. She spread out photographs on the kitchen table. 3 women, all bearing striking resemblances to Echo. Different hair colors, different styles, but the same predatory eyes. Trinity, Serenity, and Destiny, my mother said, pointing to each photo. I found them while researching Echo's past. They all run similar operations in different states. Spiritual healing, life coaching, relationship counseling. Same pattern of destroyed families. Why didn't you tell me before I asked? Because I thought, with Echo in prison, they'd stay away. But if they're calling, she trailed off, looking worried. The doorbell rang. We both froze. I peed through the peephole to see a woman in a business suit, holding a briefcase. She looked official, harmless, even. But something about her smile made my skin crawl. "Mr. Johnson, I'm Serenity Moonstone. Rebecca's new therapist, the rehabilitation center, sent me." I kept the chain on the door. "Rebecca's therapist is Dr. Martinez." Her smile widened. "Oh, there must be some confusion. Dr. Martinez had a family emergency. I'm covering his cases. May I come in? I have some important documents regarding your wife's treatment. Leave them in the mailbox," said through the door. "I'll review them later." Her expression flickered just for a moment, revealing something darker underneath. "These require immediate attention. It's about Rebecca's medication. She's been having severe reactions." My mother appeared beside me, phone already recording. "What's your license number, Miss Moonstone? I'd like to verify your credentials with the state board." Serenity's smile became strained. "Of course, I'll have my office send that information." She backed away from the door. "I'll return when it's more convenient." We watched through the window as she got into a white sedan. My mother was already on the phone with the rehabilitation center. Dr. Martinez answered on the second ring. No family emergency, no coverage, no. Serenity. Moonstone on staff pack bags for the kids, my mother said. We're staying with my sister for a few days. But as I headed to the children's room, my phone buzzed. Text from Rebecca's number. Please help me. They're making me do things. Echo's sisters are here. They say if I don't cooperate, they'll be bad to the children. I showed my mother. She immediately called the rehabilitation center again. Rebecca was in group therapy, had been for the past hour. No access to phones. It's a trap, my mother said. They're trying to lure you there. But what if it wasn't? What? If Rebecca was really in danger? I thought about all the times I'd failed to protect my family. Not this time. Stay with the kids, I told my mother. I'm going to the center. Absolutely not, she said, blocking my path. That's exactly what they want. We argued for several minutes before compromising. She'd take the children to her sister's house, while I went to the rehabilitation center with her friend, Jonathan, a retired police officer who helping us document everything. The rehabilitation center looked normal from the outside, peaceful even with its manicured lawns and cheerful yellow buildings. Jonathan and I signed in at the front desk. The receptionist smiled warmly. Rebecca Hamilton. Oh yes, she's in art therapy right now. Would you like to wait in the family room? We sat on uncomfortable plastic chairs, watching the clock. 20 minutes passed. Finally, Rebecca appeared, escorted by a staff member. She looked healthier than she had in months. Clear, eyes, steady hands, even a small smile when she saw me. I'm glad you came, she said, sitting across from us. I've been working on a letter for the kids, but I wanted to read it to you first. She pulled out a folded paper and began reading an apology, heartfelt and genuine, but something was off. Her hands weren't quite steady. Her eyes kept darting to the corners of the room. Jonathan noticed it too. He casually moved his chair, positioning himself between Rebecca and the door. That's a beautiful letter, he said. Did you write it yourself? Of course, Rebecca said, but her voice cracked slightly. Why would you ask that? Because, Jonathan said gently, you keep looking at the security cameras. Your handwriting is different from the letters you've been sending. Rebecca's composure crumbled. Tears streamed down her face. They made me, she whispered. They said they'd hurt my roommate if I didn't get you here. I'm so sorry. Who's they? I asked. Though I already knew Echo's sisters, they've been visiting other patients to be family members. Security doesn't know they have fake IDs. Everything. Rebecca grabbed my hand. You need to leave now. The lights went out. Emergency lighting kicked in, bathing everything in an eerie red glow. Jonathan was already on his feet, hand reaching. For the weapon, he no longer carried old habits. Fire drill, the receptionist announced over the intercom. Please proceed calmly to the nearest exit. But Rebecca shook her head. There's no drill scheduled today. This is them. We moved quickly, but carefully toward the exit. Other patients and staff were filing out, confused but orderly. In the chaos, I spotted her. Trinity. According to my mother's photos, she was dressed as a nurse, clipboard in hand, directing people toward a side exit. Not that way, Jonathan muttered, steering us toward the main entrance. You almost made it when someone called out, Mr. Johnson, your wife collapsed. I turned to see Rebecca on the ground, another nurse kneeling beside her. Destiny. She was holding a syringe. She needs her medication, Destiny said, her voice urgent but her eyes cold. Help me get her to the medical wing. Step away from her, Jonathan commanded, using his cop voice. It still carried authority, even without the badge Destiny's mask. She stood slowly, the syringe still in her hand. This doesn't concern you, old man. Everything concerning this family concerns me, Jonathan replied. He pulled out his phone. Live stream, everyone watching. This woman is attempting to assault a patient at Riverside Rehabilitation Center. Her name is Destiny. She lunged at him, but Jonathan had been expecting it. He sidestepped, using her momentum to send her crashing into a wall. The syringe went flying, already finally arrived, drawn by the commotion. But they hesitated, confused by the nurse uniforms. In that moment of uncertainty, Trinity appeared. These men are disrupting patient care, she announced with authority. They're not on the approved visitor list. We signed in at the front desk. I protested, but the receptionist was nowhere to be seen. Check the system, Jonathan said calmly, still recording. Our names will be there. One guard went to check, while the other kept us all in place. Patients and staff crowded around, drawn by the drama. Rebecca had pulled herself up, leaning against the wall. They're not real nurses, she said loudly. They've been sneaking in for weeks, pretending to be staff. Check their IDs. They're fake. Trinity's composure cracked. This woman is clearly delusional. She's been making false accusations throughout her treatment. Then you won't mind if we verify your credentials, security guard said, finally catching on. Trinity and Destiny exchanged glances, then they ran. The guards gave chase, but the sisters had planned their escape well. They vanished into a service corridor, presumably where they'd hidden their real clothes. By the time police arrived, they were gone. Rebecca was taken to the medical wing for evaluation. Whatever was in that syringe, she hadn't been injected, but the incident had shaken her badly. They've been here before, she told the detective, different disguises each time. They talked to the patients, gather information they knew about my letters to you, about the kids' schedules, everything. The rehabilitation center went into lockdown, reviewing all visitor logs and security footage. They found at least a dozen instances of the sisters entering under false pretenses. But the real shock came when they checked the employee records. Renati had been working there for 2 months as a night shift counselor. She had perfect credentials, the director explained, looking shaken. References, background check, everything cleared. We had no reason to suspect she'd been collecting information on all your patients, Jonathan said grimly. Looking for vulnerable families, just like Echo did. My phone rang, my mother frantic. They found us. I don't know how, but there's a woman outside claiming to be from CPS. She says she has a court order to check on the children. Don't open the door, I said, already running for the car. Call 911. Jonathan drove while I stayed on the phone. My mother had barricaded herself and the kids in the back bedroom. Through the window, she could see the woman still standing on the porch, still knocking patiently. She looked so official, my mother whispered. She has a badge, and everything I assured her. The police are coming. We arrived, just as the police did. The woman on the porch turned out to be Trinity, wearing a conservative suit and carrying an authentic-looking CPS badge. She tried to maintain her cover even as they arrested her. This is a mistake, she insisted. I'm here on official business. Check with my supervisor. But her fingerprints told a different story. Trinity Blackwood wanted in 3 states for fraud, identity theft, and extortion, just like her sister. My mother was shaken but unharmed. The kids, thankfully, had slept through the whole ordeal. We decided to stay with Jonathan that night. He had a security system and a very protective German shepherd named Max. Getting desperate, Jonathan observed as we sat around his kitchen table. Echo must have been the leader without her. They're making mistakes, or they're trying to finish what she started. My mother said she'd been researching all evening. Look at this pattern. Every family Echo destroyed, one of the sisters moved in afterward. They'd offer support, counseling, friendship, then slowly take over the victims' lives, parasites muttered. Exactly. And we disrupted their biggest score yet. Kenneth's money, Rebecca's family wealth, all of it was supposed to flow to them. Eventually, my phone buzzed. Another unknown number. This time, I put it on speaker before answering. You're making this harder than it needs to be. Serenity's voice was calm, almost soothing. We don't want to hurt anyone. We just want what we're owed. You're owed nothing, I said. Echo raised Rebecca for 20 years through her monthly payments. Do you have any idea how much that cost, the emotional investment? We're simply collecting on that debt. Rebecca was Kenneth's daughter. Echo blackmailed him. That's not an investment, it's an extortion. Serenity laughed, a tinkling sound that made my skin crawl. Perspective is everything, Mr. Johnson. But let's speak practically. We have resources you can't imagine, connections in every system designed to protect you. We can make your life very difficult. We're already trying, I pointed out. No, she said softly. We've been gentle so far, but if you force our hand? Well, did you know that Tommy has been having behavioral issues at school? So no concerning that. His teacher is considering recommending a psychological evaluation? My blood ran cold. You stay away from my son. Did you know that Sarah's been telling classmates that daddy mommy? Children say the strangest things, don't they? Especially when they're given the right suggestions. If you touch my children, we don't need to touch them. We just need to talk to the right people, plant the right concerns. I've seen how easily the system can be turned against you. Jonathan was already texting someone, his face grim. My mother grabbed my hand, squeezing tight. What do you want? I asked. Simple. Rebecca signs over her trust fund to a charity we control. Kenneth assigns his remaining assets to cover Echo's legal fees. You disappear with your children. Everyone wins, except Rebecca ends up with nothing. Rebecca destroyed her own life. We're simply managing the aftermath. Serenity's voice hardened. You have 48 hours to decide. After that, we implement Plan B, and trust me, you won't like Plan B. She hung up. We sat in silence for a moment, processing. They're bluffing, Jonathan said finally. They can't have that much reach. My mother was already pulling up the school's website. There it was, in the staff section. A new counselor started 3 weeks ago, Dr. Destiny Starlight. We need to get the kids out of that school. I said, no, my mother said firmly. We need to end this. Running won't solve anything. They'll just follow. She was right. But how do you fight shadows? How do you protect your children from people who've spent decades perfecting the art of destruction? The answer came from an unexpected source. Catherine, the prosecutor who handled Echo's case, called the next morning. "I've been monitoring the situation," she said. "These women made a mistake coming after you. You're not their usual victim. You have support documentation, and most importantly, you have me." "What can you do?" I asked. "Been building a RICO case, racketeering. These sisters, along with Echo, have been running an organized criminal enterprise across state lines. But I needed them to make a move. Now they have," she explained her plan. "It was risky, requiring us to play along with their demands while gathering evidence, but it was our best shot at ending this permanently." "I'll need Rebecca's cooperation," Catherine said. "Think she's up for it?" I thought about Rebecca, broken, but trying to rebuild, about my children, innocent victims in all this, about my mother, fierce and protect, about Jonathan, steady and reliable. "We're all up for it," I said. The next 2 days were carefully orchestrated. Rebecca, released from the rehabilitation center under special circumstances, met with Serenity at a coffee shop. She wore a wire hidden in her jacket. "I want to make this right," Rebecca said, her voice shaky but determined. "Tell me what you need." Serenity smiled. That predatory smile I'd seen on Echo so many times. Smart girl. "First, we'll need access to your trust fund. I have papers here." While Rebecca gathered evidence, my mother worked her own angle. She accidentally ran into Destiny at the school, striking up a conversation about troubled children and the challenges of modern parenting. "My grandson has been acting out ever since the divorce," she confided. I met my wit's end. Destiny's eyes lit up. "I specialize in children from broken homes. Perhaps I could help." Meanwhile, Jonathan and I tackled Trinity. We leaked information through channels we knew she monitored, suggesting Kenneth had hidden assets the authorities hadn't found. Sure enough, she reached out through a mutual acquaintance, offering her services as a financial recovery specialist. Each sister thought they were playing us. None realized we were comparing notes, holding a comprehensive picture of their operation. The breakthrough came when Rebecca discovered something crucial during her meeting with Serenity. The charity they wanted her to fund, it was registered to a fourth sister, Hope Everlasting, Echo's twin. "She's been hiding in plain sight," Catherine explained when we brought her the information. "Running a legitimate charity as a front for money, laundering. Every dollar the sister steals gets funneled through Hope's organization. So we take down Hope. We destroy their whole system," I asked. "Exactly. But we need them all in one place. Can you make that happen?" Rebecca had an idea. "Tell them I'll only sign the papers if all the sisters are present. Say I want to meet the women who've been caring for my biological mother." Play to their ego. It was brilliant. The sisters, confident in their control, agreed to a family meeting. They chose the location, private dining room at the country club, the same country club where everything had started to fall apart. The night of the meeting, I was nervous. Sarah and Tommy were safe with friends out of state, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something would go wrong. "Trust the plan," Jonathan reminded me. As we waited in the parking lot, law enforcement was positioned around the building, waiting for the signal. Inside, Rebecca sat at a long table, the picture of defeated wealth. The sisters filed in one by one. Trinity in her business suit, Destiny in flowing bohemian dress, Serenity in designer casual, and finally, Hope, looking exactly like Echo, but softer, wearing a simple sweater and pearls. "Rebecca, dear Hope," said warmly, "I'm so glad we can finally meet properly. Echo spoke of you constantly." "I'm sure she did," Rebecca replied. She held out a folder. "I have the papers here, but first I need to understand something. Why target my family? There are plenty of wealthy people in the world." Hope smiled sadly. "You were never a target, dear. You were family. Echo didn't abandon you by choice, forced her away, threatened her if she tried to claim you. We've spent 20 years trying to reunite you. It was masterful manipulation. Even knowing the truth, I could see how someone might believe her." Becca played along, tears in her eyes. "I wish I'd known," she whispered. "All those years, feeling like I didn't belong, but you do belong." Trinity interjected with us. "Your real family, which is why we need to secure your future." Serenity added. "Kenneth stole decades of support from you. We're simply reclaiming it." "And my children?" Rebecca asked. "What about them?" Destiny leaned forward. "They'll be better off without their father's influence. Seen how toxic masculinity destroys families in our care. They'll grow up balanced, spiritual, free." That was the admission Catherine needed. Conspiracy to commit docile interference. The signal went out. The doors burst open. Federal agents flooded in, weapons drawn. The sisters froze, their masks finally slipping completely. FBI, nobody move. Hope tried to run but didn't get far. Trinity reached for something in her purse but was tackled before she could grab it. Destiny fell to her knees. Only Serenity remained calm, that eerie smile still in place. "You have no idea what you've done," she said as they cuffed her. "We have friends everywhere. This isn't over," but it was. The FBI had been investigating the sisters for years, building a case across multiple jurisdictions. Our evidence was the final piece they needed. As they led the sisters away, Hope turned to Rebecca one last time. "You could have had everything," she said sadly. "A real family, a purpose in. Instead, you chose him." Rebecca stood tall, stronger than I'd seen her in years. "I chose my children, and that's the only family that matters."
Merch link in bio if you vibe with full stories.